You wake up at 6:47 a.m. Not because of your alarm. Your alarm is set for 6:54, but your body already knows. You've been doing this routine for 4,847 days, almost 13 years at the same company. Same commute, same login screen, same calendar meetings. And every morning, there's a moment, just a few seconds, where you stare at the ceiling and feel something you can't quite explain. Because on paper, your life looks successful. You have a stable job, a good salary, benefits, maybe even a promotion or two. You're making more money than your parents ever imagined at your age. And yet somehow, you feel more financially stressed than ever. If that sounds familiar, it's not an accident. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why this happens. Because the truth is uncomfortable. Most people aren't poor because they earn too little. They're poor because they've been placed inside something far more sophisticated. A system. A system I call the salary trap. Meet Sarah. Let me introduce you to someone. Her name is Sarah. Sarah is 34 years old. She works in marketing and earns $85,000 a year. Statistically speaking, that places her in the top 20% of earners in her country. By all traditional standards, Sarah should feel wealthy. But she doesn't. In fact, most weeks she feels like she's barely staying afloat. Let's break down why. Sarah gets paid every 2 weeks. Her paycheck before taxes is $3,216. After taxes and deductions, she takes home $2,458. Now here's where the system starts doing something extremely clever. Sarah never actually gets the opportunity to decide what to do with her money. Instead, the system quietly divides her income into invisible streams before she ever experiences it as wealth. Let's look at where it goes. Rent, $1,200. Almost half of her income disappears immediately. Groceries and dining out, $400. Car payment, insurance, and gas, $550. Phone, internet, streaming subscriptions, $120. Utilities, $140. By the time Sarah's paycheck settles in her account, something shocking has already happened. Out of her $2,458, $2,410 is already spoken for. That leaves her with $48. $48 to survive 2 weeks. But here's the genius of the system. Sarah doesn't feel poor. She has a car. She has an apartment. She can occasionally order takeout. From the outside, her life looks comfortable. And that's exactly the point. The illusion of prosperity. The salary trap's first weapon is fragmentation. Money arrives in one large chunk but leaves in dozens of tiny payments. Your brain never experiences the full reality. Because when expenses happen gradually, rent here, groceries there, subscriptions silently renewing, it doesn't trigger the same alarm as losing everything at once. So instead of realizing you're barely building wealth, you simply believe you're maintaining a lifestyle. Comfort replaces clarity. And that comfort prevents you from asking the most important question: why am I not getting richer? The second trap, lifestyle inflation. But the trap doesn't stop there. The system has a second mechanism, and this one is even more powerful. It starts with a promise we've all heard since childhood. Get a good education. So you do. Maybe you take on student loans. Maybe you spend years preparing for a career. Eventually, you land a good job, say $60,000 a year. It feels like victory. But something subtle happens the moment your income increases. Your lifestyle expands to match it. Economists call this lifestyle inflation. I call it the tightening noose. You get a raise. Suddenly, a nicer apartment seems reasonable. Your car payment jumps from $200 to $400. Then you earn $90,000. You upgrade again. Rent rises to $1,600. Your car payment becomes $500. Maybe you take vacations you never considered before. Each upgrade feels like progress. But in reality, something dangerous is happening. Every new expense makes it harder to step away from your paycheck. The golden handcuffs. This is what people mean when they talk about golden handcuffs. You earn more, but you also need more. Your financial life becomes a machine that requires constant income to survive. You can't quit. You can't take risks. You can't step away to build something of your own, because your life now depends on that salary continuing indefinitely. And here's the cruelest part. No one forced you into it. The system simply presented better options. A nicer home, a nicer car, a nicer lifestyle. Human psychology did the rest. We believe moving up means becoming richer, but often we're just moving into a lifestyle that consumes every dollar we earn. That's why someone earning $500,000 a year can feel just as financially trapped as someone earning $50,000 a year. The number isn't the problem. The gap is. The gap between income and expenses determines your freedom, and the system quietly works to keep that gap as small as possible. David's story. Let me tell you about my friend David. He worked in tech. He earned 6 figures. From the outside, his life looked incredible, but he hated his job. Every day he thought about quitting, but every time the thought crossed his mind, his stomach dropped, because David had already built a life that required his salary. A $400,000 house, 2 car payments, kids in private school. Then one day, his company offered him a promotion, a $20,000 raise. He felt relief, gratitude, even excitement. But within a year, his mortgage adjusted. His oldest child needed braces. He replaced his car because repairs were too expensive. And suddenly, despite making more money than ever, David's financial stress stayed exactly the same. The most dangerous trick. This is the salary trap's most dangerous trick. Your salary increases, but your obligations increase faster, which means your freedom never actually grows. It's why studies consistently show something strange. People earning $30,000 a year and people earning $300,000 a year often report similar levels of financial stress, because stress isn't created by income, it's created by dependency. When every dollar you earn is already promised to someone else, you're not financially secure. You're financially predictable. Your landlord benefits, your bank benefits, the car company benefits. But you're simply a reliable revenue stream. A simple test. Let's try something uncomfortable. Imagine you quit your job tomorrow. No warning, no backup plan, just walked away. How long could you survive? Be honest. 3 months? 1 month? 2 weeks? If the answer is less than 3 months, you're trapped. And you're not alone. More than 60% of professionals couldn't sustain their lifestyle for 1 month without a paycheck. Think about that. 1 month away from financial collapse. That's not security. That's a comfortable prison. Escaping the trap. But here's the important part. The salary trap is powerful, but it's not permanent. Because once you see the system clearly, you start asking better questions. Not, how do I earn more money? But why does all my money disappear? Not, how do I get promoted? But how do I build assets instead of obligations? The first steps. Breaking the trap doesn't mean quitting your job tomorrow. It starts with 3 simple shifts. First, stop confusing income with wealth. A $200,000 salary is income. $200,000 in investments is wealth. One disappears if you stop working. The other continues growing without you. Second, protect the gap between your income and your expenses. This gap is where freedom is created. Without it, wealth is impossible. Third, turn that gap into assets. Assets generate money. Liabilities consume it. Most people spend their raises on liabilities. The wealthy turn raises into assets. The psychological shift. Once you build 3 to 6 months of living expenses, something fascinating happens. Your relationship with work changes. You negotiate better. You take smarter risks. You leave toxic environments. You stop operating from fear, because the moment you don't need your paycheck, you regain control of your life. And that is the real goal. Not just making money, but becoming independent from needing it constantly. The truth: the salary trap is real. It's sophisticated, but it isn't unbeatable. The people who escape it aren't smarter, they aren't luckier. They simply became aware. They realized something powerful. Comfort is not the same thing as freedom. And once you understand that difference, you start building a life where money works for you, not the other way around. If you found this breakdown valuable and want to learn how money, psychology, and systems really work, subscribe to the channel. Every week we break down the hidden forces shaping your finances and how to beat them.